Hey guys, and welcome back to the channel. This is not the normal video for this channel. This is going to be very much a semi-personal video talking about the WRX and what I have now identified as my first regrets of buying the 2022 WRX. Yes, I said it out loud. Yes, I'm experiencing regrets. This is not going to be a factual video. Like, I'm not talking about news. I'm not talking about engineering. This is just talking about my experience about owning a WRX. So if that's something that you're interested in, stick around. So I've owned WRXs for 7+ years now, more than that actually. This is my third WRX. I had 2 VAs and this is my VB. I'm in a 2022 WRX. I bought this WRX thinking that I was gonna have a ton of fun with it. It was gonna be the cornerstone of my Subaru experience. It was gonna be the last WRX I've ever owned, and I regret buying it. I think that this WRX has done a lot of positive things for me. Maybe I don't fully regret buying it. I'm glad I have had the experience because it's given me perspective and it's allowed me to do a lot of fun things with this car, but I would have rather built a VA WRX or an STI. I think, and that's going to be the plan for the channel in the long run. And I think part of that is I think that I'm just at the point where the novelty of having this car has worn off, and I'm not happy with the way that the aftermarket has gone and the numbers that are being pushed. And you know, again, I spend a lot of time on the back end of part development, and I see a lot of the issues people are having with these tuned vehicles. So I haven't made the decision yet whether or not I'm going to tune it. I know that that's obviously, most of you guys are like, oh my gosh, that's going to change the car for you. And I agree, it changes these cars, but there's just been so many problems with it if you want to run real power that you actually won't really encounter with a VA WRX. You could, but you have a lower likelihood. And that's just like, you don't want to, like, why tune this down? I guess, like, you could just run less power. You're not going to have problems with it, but I might as well have a cheaper car and then spend the delta of money on a more expensive car. So the short answer is I'm having my first regrets. I also think I'm getting to the point where I've had these WRXs for a long time. I'm getting older. I'd like to have a properly fast car, right? It's becoming to the point, especially with the market downturn, that you can buy a car and make, I don't know, 600 horsepower, maybe 550 horsepower for, I don't know, 45 grand, and still have and still not give up all the handling and agility aspects that makes this car fun, which is nuts because that's not really always been the case. So I don't know. I just things are different. I don't fully regret it. I'm not like, oh, I want to get rid of this car immediately, but I'm like, it's the first time with basically any car that I've been like, well, you know, maybe it wasn't the right decision, and maybe I should have had my VA for longer and kept making content around it or whatever it was. So it's just the first car that's made me really fully question what I was doing. I almost just saw a gnarly accident in front of me. Fortunately, the car was paying attention, but a car at 40 miles an hour driving right of way on a road was just completely cut off by another car. You guys can't hear it, but they screeched their tires for solid 10 feet. That's pretty wild. Yeah, so I think you know, I'm gonna do as much as I can with this car for the rest of the channel. I know that by the time you guys are probably seeing this video, you're probably midway through maybe 4 or 5 mod videos. I would say there's probably 25 or 30 more modifications that I'm doing for this car. A lot of it's because I'm doing part development for it. So I'm still gonna do a lot with the car. I probably will have it for another 6 or 8 months, but I'm very actively looking for a VA WRX right now. The second I can find one, I'm pulling the trigger. And right now, I've for sure found some that meet what I'm looking for, but I'm trying to be picky about what projects I want to take on and what I'm willing to navigate from a rebuilding standpoint and what risks I'm willing to take. So I'm just kind of figuring that out so I can bring the best content to you guys too, because I want to do some pretty expansive projects with the car. So the short answer is a year from now, if I still have this WRX, I'll be pretty surprised, honestly. I'm not done doing performance modifications on it because I also want to make sure what I'm saying is true, and I'm going to go through the tune thing. But I've driven plenty of tuned VBs at this point, and I've got to say, I think the biggest disappointing part, and this is how we'll end the video, is that one of the standouts for the VA WRX, and one of the things that made me fall in love with the VA WRX, was the physical feeling of holding the steering wheel and driving that car. There was so much raw connection to the road, especially if you got wider wheels and tires, right? You cannot argue, like, I will be honest, I've driven a lot of cars in my time, and I can't think of another car that I've been in, and that's most sports cars, right? Can't think of another car that I've been in that replicated the same feeling as my 2016 modified VA WRX on 9.5-inch wheels. With that thing, the way that I had it set up, I've never felt so connected to the road and the driving experience than driving that car. And I was really hoping that that would be something that I could achieve with this car, but I haven't been able to do it. And I think that that was what really allowed me, as a very much an automotive enthusiast that enjoys cars that move fairly quickly, to kind of give up that portion of riding in rally cars. Was I felt like, you know, that car wasn't fast. It was quick, but it wasn't fast. But I was so connected that, like, it was exhilarating. Every moment you were driving that car, you were just like you were one with the vehicle, right? You were just part of that experience. And that's not here in the VB WRX. It's fun to drive, but you don't have that like raw connection. And I'm sure most of you guys watching this video that have had VA WRXs, that's the 2015 through 2021, and modified them in ways where you're kind of lowering it, you're getting more like grip on the road, you're getting a little bit more connectivity, and you're feeling a lot more of that. A lot of you guys are going to relate, where it's just like one of those cars where it's like hard to explain to somebody that's driven other platforms or something like that how it feels. Like, I had a lot of friends that like were into the Porsches or into other cars that were just like faster, right? And I tried driving them and I was like, look, it's just not the same. Like, this is a great car, it's fun, it's fast, but it's not as fun to drive. You don't feel the same way, right? They were like, how can a four-door? And I had a few people that drove my last WRX and they got out of it and they were like, they were like, that's not something I've experienced. And it's not like something special is happening. It's just like, it was dialed in by Subaru. It was done right, and you add a few things and it makes it work. So I want that experience again, right? And I'm chasing it. I also wouldn't hate having something where I can take it to a track. And I think there's a time and a place to say that maybe a manual isn't the fastest. So I want to make sure that my VA WRX is obviously a manual. Like, it's got to be a manual. But maybe the fast car that we bring to the channel doesn't have a manual transmission, because that, you know, having a manual transmission takes you out of a lot of fast vehicles. Even with the Supra, which I'm pretty sure at this point you guys know it's going to be a Supra, a manual Supra is great, but there's not a lot of people pushing high horsepower on those manual Supras, and we know that the automatic transmission doesn't just hold up, but it does really well under high loads of power. On the automatic transmission, obviously they fail when people are making like 700 wheel horsepower, like the high 600s, but you can push like 500 and change wheel horsepower on that transmission and absolutely rock it around. So that might be something that I do, right? And I think that one of my goals with this channel and how the channel is going to change is that, especially with the VA WRX, like, I want to kind of stop making content like this. Like, we're going to still have content like this where it's like me doing the whole information thing, interpreting stuff, looking at news, but I want that to be one day a week, and I want to have 2 other videos a week. Like I want to be able to produce 2 or 3 videos a week for this channel, and I want there to be like the information stuff where it's like engineering or whatever it is. I want there to be a mod video where it's like we're installing something, so you guys can constantly see a slew of reviewed parts and how to install stuff, and you can take that and use those as skills for other things. And then I want something where it's like repair, right? I want to rebuild. I want to have to repair something. I want to have to do engine work, because you can also learn from that. And I want to be able to have that trifecta approach, because again, I think that obviously I run this channel differently. It makes it so it's not as successful, but hopefully for the few of you that enjoy it, you get a lot more value out of it than a lot of other automotive channels that focus on the, like, either the Hollywood effect, or they disguise how much money they're spending to do things and it becomes unrealistic. Like, the whole point of this channel is realism, and I want to make sure that goes as far as actually working on the cars and doing modifications, which we do on this channel for this car, but it's more so about like reviewing the parts. And now that I own JXR Performance, it's more so about like showcasing parts that I've developed and taking away some of that. So yeah, that's basically it. I appreciate you guys if you lasted this far through the video. I know this is a very odd video and it's probably not what you were expecting. So if you lasted this far through, you're the real ones. I'd love to know who lasted this far through in the comment section. I promise you guys, when you guys say like I lasted to the end, or I lasted until you told me to say something, it makes my day. Sometimes I see those comments come at, like, I'll be like falling asleep, it'll be like 3 a.m. and I'll get a ding on my phone and I'll see it's a comment, someone saying that. I swear it makes my day and my night. I don't know. I appreciate you guys, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Lots of mod content coming out, so check it out, and we'll see you there.